touchdown.
The route, and Randy Moss, without even really being able to run, as he shoots the moon to the
pass, pumps to the left, 8 seconds left. He gets away from the pressure, fires to the end zone. It's caught! It's Greg Lewis! Oh my heavens! Greg Lewis's first catch has given the Minnesota.
Four, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what's up, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to another episode of House Calls brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. I am Skoldoc, and as joining me as always is Dave. Dave, how are you doing, my brother?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Yeah, I guess it came and went tonight or today. So we got a lot. I guess we got a lot to talk about when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter through the weekend of the Vikings aren't going to do it, and I was like, really? Like, because I was siding with Phil Mackey's line of reasoning, which was the Vikings have all the leverage here. Call his bluff, place the tag on him. Somebody's got to come get him, right? But we were wrong. No tag for Mr. Darnold.
I mean, I think throughout our shows together, I've been kind of like, you gotta. The only way it's possible is if you have something ahead of time, and we really didn't. There was late talk about there was suitors, but were they suitors for him if he went free agency? It's more like, yeah, it's the case, right? Like they're going to be waiting for him to hit free agency. And then and we're all talking about Sam Darnold. We didn't even say his name, but yes, I mean Sam Darnold. We had to have a deal because once we tag him, we don't have the cards. Is my opinion, right? I feel that way because, and also, I think Phil Mackey got fact checked on it by an agent that we accept $40 million. If we tagged him, that's $40 million that we don't have anymore,
right?
For the free agency. So
Phil knows that. Phil knows that.
Well, he said he took the L and he was wrong. I guess he maybe didn't know that.
No,
I don't
Phil.
know.
No. Phil, the agent is saying that he signs the tag, the 40 mil hits your cap right now, right?
Yeah,
Phil's point is, but once you trade him, that cap goes away, right?
Well, I think that. Oh, go ahead.
The agent went on to say that there were other factors that we didn't necessarily talk about regarding how the leverage completely shifts to Darnold's camp once you place
because
that
he
tag.
can pick where he goes. Yeah,
right. It essentially becomes a no trade clause.
Like I'm not going there. Sorry.
Correct. Then if it drags out, now the Vikings carrying that 40 million cap at that time, right? If Darnold signs the tag, they are restricted now with free agency. Right.
Yep.
And so Phil's point to all of that was his rebuttal, if you will, that he made and he brought up in his argument was it's in everyone's best interest, including the Darnold camp, if you just sign it and accept the trade so that you get your payday as well. Right. Because the money's going to dry up. So you want to go out and get your payday. So with all due respect, like I understand what the agent was saying. I also understand what Phil Mackey was saying. I think they both make valid arguments, and we're never going to know, I guess, what would have happened if the Vikings did tag him and if they were able to actually move him, but they felt like the risk outweighed the benefits of doing so. And so they didn't do it.
Yeah. Back to, I thought they had to have it done before, and they didn't do it, so they didn't risk it. I felt like it was. I felt like it was a little bit of a risk. One of the issues we have is it also becomes harder to trade him. Harder for a team to get him because now they're competing with trade picks, trading a pick and taking on the money. And now, hopefully for them, they can just, compete with the other one or two teams and us, I guess, because there's news on that or conjecture on that. Um, which is easier because now there's no picks involved. And did we really look at who was interested and how many picks they had? That's something on my part. I'm lazy, is that I didn't really look at the teams who would have been interested and how many picks they had. So there was, that to be said. So it didn't really, in last year, a lot of came out of the about Kirk Cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mood shifted. So I think we're going to sign him. Kevin O'Connell said, hey, these, I think, and literally said, I think he's going to be back. Kwesi says these things tend to work out in the later hours. And then it shifted. There was an exact point where we're like, oh, we heard something. Oh, it's not good. They shifted what they were saying. And really did that happen here? Yeah, to the negative, again, probably the negative for us is that we couldn't sign and trade him or tag and trade him. But yeah, I think it's just going to be a little more to get him than money and draft picks. I don't think their teams were necessarily willing to do that. So,
yeah, I agree with you. I honestly think that the last 2 games of the year killed the tag and trade scenario, is what it
yeah.
seems like to me. It really does. Because if he balled out, won a playoff game, I think teams are absolutely willing to pay him that $40 million a year tag price, right? And they're probably trading a second round pick to make that happen. But we didn't see that. I hate to kind of look into the rumors and believe everything you see right now in the silly season of the NFL where you don't know what to believe. But based on what we're seeing, it seems like his market is much more lukewarm than we thought it was going to be. Like there's not as big of a separation between Darnold and then your ancillary free agent quarterbacks such as Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields. Now we'll see when free agency opens and when we see the deal that he gets. Maybe he still does get 35 plus AAV, right? And maybe he does get much more than these other ancillary quarterbacks. I still do expect him to be the first quarterback signed in free agency. I do think he's the first domino that needs to fall. And I mean, I do believe that the Vikings in a perfect world would like him back, just like they were saying they would have liked Cousins back. But we know Kwesi, he draws his line in the sand, right? And they don't step over that line. This team has a lot of holes to fill. They understand that. And I'd be very surprised if Sam Darnold's find his ways back to the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's going to leave.
Yeah, and I do think Kwesi would cross a line if the value and long-term appeal was there. And I don't think it was there with Danielle Hunter. I don't think it was there with Kirk last year. I think this is more of a who was responsible, Sam's ability or Kevin O'Connell's awesome coaching ability. And like you had said, that playoff game, not necessarily the Lions game. Lions game, he was just overthrowing people. It had a lot to do with it and offensive line. Now the playoff game, he was not seeing wide open people. It was ridiculous, and he was holding on the ball and getting sacked. It was a complete meltdown. So yeah, that really, if he would have just played better in that game, even if we lost, we just played better and solid in that game, it would have been a different story, I think. Who knows? I think it would. Maybe we still don't tag and trade him, but his value would be more. Yeah, 35 million. I think he is the top quarterback. Because of age. In this free agency. So you would be right saying that. Hey, he'd be the first quarterback to go. It should be that way, right? It should be that way, unless there's someone just has a. You got because it is Russell Wilson, is he a free agent?
Yes.
Okay, so potentially someone might value him more, like that as a win now, right now, take us over the top quarterback. They may value Sam Darnold more, so he'd probably be the only guy outside of a trade. Like I think they're both those guys would be more value over Aaron Rodgers just because of age and coming off injury. Although Aaron Rodgers, 33 touchdowns and 11 something interceptions or whatever. He didn't have a horrible season, but if you go look at the games, there's something missing there. But or a Kirk Cousins getting traded for in costing the team peanuts. Other than that, Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, those will be the two fighting for the next big 35 plus contract. I think he gets 35. I would think
I would guess so as well. Just you look at what he was able to accomplish in the regular season, being a PFF top 10 quarterback in terms of grade, the stats he put up, 35 plus touchdowns, over 4,000 passing yards. He had a great statistical season. And then the question you have to ask yourself, if you're the other teams looking into Darnold services, is, do you have the infrastructure to allow Darnold to succeed like Minnesota had? And what's the price point of you going to get Darnold, but also buying the infrastructure to surround him, right? Like if he goes to the Raiders, all right, you have a great rookie tight end that broke records, awesome piece there, but you still need offensive line, running back, and maybe a couple wide receivers to build around Sam Darnold to give him the infrastructure that he had in Minnesota. So I think that was part of the hesitancy with teams, jumping at the bit to offer Darnold that tag. And also, I do think 40 million is probably a little higher than what teams want to go in on Darnold. It's probably closer to that 30, 35 range. I still think that's too high for Minnesota, given the build that we're on right now with a top 10 pick at quarterback just selected last year and a team that's ready to spend on the trenches and use all this cap space for once. A team that has a ton of needs and limited draft capital because we haven't been hitting on the draft. So everything to me lines up. Sam Darnold's going to go on Monday somewhere else.
So, two things. When it comes to Sam Darnold, being a Viking or not a Viking, I haven't heard anybody that I felt like I trusted, that's in the know, that says Sam Darnold is, an option for the Vikings. Like they're really concerned, but there are talking heads out there that do say 3 years, 30 million, or 3 years, 35, or whatever. And I'm not going to trust the guys that are like, I'm not going to trust the guys that really want JJ McCarthy to start. They almost like they'll ignore any other option. It's so extreme. But then there's the guys that I don't trust, that probably barely ever watched a Vikings game or really pay attention to what our situation is, saying, why would you let 35 touchdowns go? I'm not going to listen to them. Is there
Chase
a guy?
Daniel.
What's that?
That was Chase Daniel today, by the way.
Yeah, Chase Daniel. What's his situation? Why would I listen to him? Tell me. Would there be a reason to listen to him?
Chase Daniel is just a great guy to go to in terms of quarterback tape. He's an ex-quarterback in the NFL. He's like your Dan Orlovsky who will break down the game, and good guy to go to in terms of understanding footwork and progressions and things like that. Like when JJ McCarthy had his preseason game, guys like Dan Orlovsky, Chase Daniel, and there's another guy, the quarterback school guy. I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah.
JT Sullivan. These guys are awesome to go to in terms of quarterback breakdown. And so what Chase Daniel is doing is he's providing like a quarterback centric line of thinking to the scenario where it's like, if I could ever put up that kind of statistics, I'd be very well sought after and paid. And I can't believe that team would let them go. But they're not really thinking about the team build, right? Like that's what these guys aren't thinking about.
Yeah, and that's why I take it, because he's thinking about what he accomplished overall, but comparing it to how big the drop off would be, and adding on the fact that how much we could build without Sam Darnold, I don't think they necessarily take that in consideration. They say pay the quarterback, figure it out. I feel like that's that type of mentality, and maybe that works with Pat Mahomes because he's done it.
Right.
Maybe might work
There's
with
some
a couple other
dudes
quarterbacks.
you get away with that.
Maybe Josh Allen has
Josh
kind of
Allen,
done that.
Lamar Jackson, your
Yeah,
MVP guys.
Yeah, those guys have done it, and they've done it. You've seen them do it because they lost receivers or didn't have the talent around them, and they still took it far. Sam Darnold's not that guy, right?
No.
He showed that he's not that guy, but he has showed, talent to, if he went to a coach, or he went to a Rams, or he went to a San Francisco, he went to a Eagles, he would fit in, he would do great because they have the line around them. They have the weapon, some of them have the weapons around them. Yeah, just with us, he would have the weapons, but he's already shown that he couldn't take us much farther. I couldn't take us over that hump. And like I think it was at Kwesi, you said that we have offensive line or defensive line is where it's at for to advance in February, February, right? Football in February, football in January,
Right.
and I agree. And we can afford a lot more, and I don't think there's going to be as big a drop off if we're going from a Sam Darnold to JJ McCarthy that warrants $35 million.
Yeah, there's so many reasons that we'll sit here and go through that just doesn't make sense to bring Sam Darnold back, like even at a 25 to 28 million dollar range. So I mean, say we bring Sam Darnold back at a 25 to 28 million dollar range for a short-term extension. Let's even say that it's a tradable type of contract after next year so that JJ McCarthy can take over in 2027. I mean, just the fan dynamics, the fans are going to be rooting JJ, right? Like all the time. And they say the Vikings start out 2-2 or 2-3. Like there's gonna be a lot of pressure from the fans to start JJ McCarthy because this fan base is just ready for a young rookie quarterback to take over. And I think we're a smart fan base. We get timelines, right? We get the build. We understand the rookie value of the quarterback. And I think that this fan base is just so ready to buy into building the trenches, spending every cap dollar that we can into supporting the entire roster, right? I'd be happier with another bridge quarterback if you're not completely sold on JJ. You need him to sit one more year. Bring in a cheaper guy like a Daniel Jones or something. Don't go back to Darnold for 25 to 30 million and really hamper like the build that we're trying to build towards a Super Bowl. Do you agree with that?
Does that answer a question to people to hope? No, it's not pre-recorded. Yeah. I felt like that would be an option. Option A is turn it over to him.
Right.
And keep keep our backup in place. I like, I've liked him. And
Mullins, you
that's my
talking
8.
about?
What's that?
What backup? Mullins or
Mullins. Just keep him Mullins. Keep our backup in place. Why? Because he's a great. I said that last year going in. I got so much hell for when I was I was crapping a little bit on Sam Darnold only because of production, right? And what he's done, and seeing ghosts and shit. So, I said, Mullins. He knew the offense, and I've said this before recently that I felt he knew the offense better than Kirk Cousins did. I just felt like, and he was a great, Robin to Cousins Batman as far as assisting him and on the weekly basis. And he's a team player and knows his place. Perfect backup quarterback. I think. I would just wish he had, if he had a stronger arm, he would not be a backup quarterback in this league. In my opinion. But I think he'd be well suited to bring along JJ McCarthy. So I feel like we have the guy, right, that we could just extend and for cheap. We don't have to pay Sam Darnold $10 million. We don't have to pay, Daniel Jones $10 million or whatever it would take to keep him as a backup. We got a guy. I feel like season's probably not going to end up in a Super Bowl if we lose our starting quarterback anyway.
Correct. I agree with you 100%. A backup quarterback should be looked at. The best ones, the best backup quarterbacks go 500 when they come in, right? So you're just trying to keep the season alive while your starter is coming back from injury or whatever it may be. The backup quarterback is really there to support the starting quarterback and help with game planning, right? And watch tape and throw out thoughts and things during the week when you're game planning, setting up a game plan. So I am fine. I'm with you. I think Mullins is a fine backup quarterback. How many better backup positions are there out there? Like just looking across the NFL, you look at backup quarterbacks, there's not very many good ones out there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a bunch of failed quarterbacks who don't have a spot, and if they go in, you're probably going to lose the game.
So, Two Evil to Hope here makes this point. Mullins was absolutely trash 2 years ago. This is the way I look at that. We had the worst defense in the league. We couldn't hold anything. We were behind both those last couple games that he played. He threw for almost 400 yards each game,
Yeah.
and had the Lions on the ropes, despite how shitty our defense was.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a different situation if Mullins is playing from ahead than he is from constantly being behind. And he doesn't have to gunsling it. He had the Lions on the ropes and threw that pick. Guy was open. He doesn't have the arm to throw it. That's his problem.
100%. He's the anti Caleb Williams. And what I mean by that is he is so good on schedule. Like 1, 2, 3, boom, ball's out. He knows where that ball's going. He just doesn't have any physical tools at all to work with, right?
The arm, it's just not there. It's below average arm. It's
and he can't move. He can't move at all. So like you look at Caleb Williams, he's elusive, he's quick, he's got a great arm, but that ball does not come out at all.
It's like when you say a girl's got a good personality. It's so Nick Mullins got a good personality, if you get what I'm getting at. And he's smart and he's got a great personality, but the physical tools aren't there.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with Nick Mullins staying the backup. You know what? He's cheap. He knows the offense, right? You're not teaching another backup quarterback your offense. With that said, if they went with Daniel Jones, I'm fine with that too. You know, if he's going to cost you $10 to $15 million a year, whatever.
It's a sexier move.
Yeah, but you're screwed anyways. Like you said, Daniel Jones ain't winning the Super Bowl. Like,
no, he's got all the physical tools and lacks the personality. That's the other. That's I guess the opposite side. He's not dumb or anything. I'm just kidding. I'm just making the opposite point for him. Is he's got a lot of sexy tools. Can run. He got an arm. He's Sam Darnold. He was Sam Darnold.
He's faster. He's faster. And his arms.
I meant Sam Darnold's like the way he's progressed in his career. He's basically what Sam Darnold is. He may have had one better season than Sam Darnold prior to this year, but he's just not. He's a sexier pick for backup. Just Nick Mullins, I felt, brings more to the quarterback room. Was in my opinion.
Here's my hot take.
He's came from great coaches.
Yeah. Here's my hot take. Too Evil to Hope ask about Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think Nick Mullins is worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're like the same guy. I think it's both guys who lack top end arm talent, who get the ball out quick, who don't have great mobility. I mean,
why not have a guy that's been in the offense for 3 years?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys should engage with chat more, bro. That's all we're doing is engaging with the chat today.
Get your own show, Too Evil to Hope, and run it the way you want. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're responding to everything he says.
Literally are talking only to you.
Yeah. Jimmy went to a Super Bowl. You know why? Because that Niners team was fucking stacked, dude. That's what I want the Vikings to do. I want they to stack the roster with all this goddamn cash that we
when they beat us in 2019, it wasn't because of Jimmy Garoppolo. He played terrible that game.
It was because the mastermind that was Shanahan putting guys in motion, evading zones, moving Eric Kendricks out of the middle of the defense, following with a slant right behind him. Like, it was just great. And they had an awesome running game, and their defense destroyed us. I mean, their defensive line just destroyed us. Kirk couldn't do anything. I think the only time we scored was wasn't it a go ball that it's Diggs that we got kind of lucky on?
Wasn't it? Well, what was the situation? Yeah, it was either Diggs or Thielen. I forget. Probably Diggs.
Yeah, Daniel says
there was a good throw down the left side of the sideline. I remember seeing that, and it was early in the game. Still kind of made it look like we were in it, but no.
Yeah. So Mullins is fine. I agree with you, but acting like he's a good backup is wild. I'm saying he's an adequate backup. There might be like 5 legit good backups in the NFL. Everyone else is either
Name me another backup quarterback has thrown a 25, 30-point blowout in his career. He's had 2 or 3 of them.
Like, what do you want? List some names. Who do you want as your backup quarterback? Do you want Daniel Jones? Is that what you want?
There's a certain North Dakota quarterback I know he wants.
Trey Lance? He's awful.
No, the
Mullins
other one.
is so much better.
The other one.
Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz. That's his boy.
All right. Is he a free agent? Is he leaving Kansas City?
I think he's a back. Isn't he? Who's he a backup for? I think he's a
Is
backup
he any good? Have we really seen him play in a while? And
I don't know, man.
Anything?
I don't expect him to start, man. I don't expect Mullins to start. So,
like, why are we talking about the backup quarterback right now?
I don't know. I kind of want to move on.
Yeah, so, I don't care. Okay, so let me ask Dave. Let me ask you this. This is where I'm at, and we've talked about this, but I'd be kind of pissed off if they brought Sam Darnold back, like regardless of the contract. I get over it, and let me just say I appreciate what he did this season. I really do. It's just for me, and this is what it comes down to. I don't think we're winning the Super Bowl with JJMcCarthy the first year that he starts, right? He's got to get experience. You got to get him out there, get used to the NFL speed. That's what I want this year to be about. And I don't care if we only win 8 games this year. I want it to be about getting JJMcCarthy experience, okay? Now, going into 2027, that's our year. I want to aim for a Super Bowl. That's where I think we can have a complete team and be ready to go. That's my thought process. I think that if you dick around with Sam one more year, have McCarthy on the bench, that's fine. You're getting McCarthy ready behind the scenes. He's going to have some practice reps throughout the year, maybe even get him in towards the end of the season if that's the case. But I don't think that 2027, you're like, okay, the kid's ready to go now. Like, let's go to the Super Bowl when it's going to be his first year playing live in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from.
Well, I think the expectations won't be there just like they weren't last year, right? So that kind of lets him, not feel the pressure as much. I still would have high expectations. I would still feel playoff team. I felt playoff team last year, and I was wanting JJ McCarthy to start, thinking he could, at least manage the team, just because the weapons we have, plus his mobility, all that. I felt like we could. I said when he got hurt, I felt like that we didn't lose any wins. Well, God forbid Sam goes out and plays out, so maybe we gained wins apparently. But I felt like it was a 10. I said there's no reason why this team can't win 10 games, even with rookie quarterback. Is the way I felt. I feel like that same way this year. There's no reason we can't win 10 games. I'm gonna bump it up to 11. No reason, because there's 17 games. There's no reason we can't win 11 games. No reason we can't look like the Commanders with a better defense. With a second-year quarterback, no reason we can't end up like that. Is in my opinion. He may be not Jaden Daniels, but he is pretty athletic. He's not gonna run for 1,000 yards, but he could throw probably just as good. In my opinion. So I have high expectations. I still say 11 wins. Maybe not our floor, but 11 wins. That's for my expectations at 11 to 12 wins with him as the starting quarterback.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love that. But I'm saying in the scenario where they only get 8 with him as the rookie, I'm fine with that too.
I'm not gonna cry as his first year.
Yeah.
Now next year, gonna have. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. You're gonna have to do better.
Correct, and that's fine, and that'll come. But like Dan said in the comments, it's about developing your quarterback. I think that's what time it is. Now, I do want to say I trust Kevin O'Connell. He's earned our trust, right? It's his show. If he's the one and he comes out and he tells us in training camp, guys, trust me, I'm developing this guy. I don't want to ruin him. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'm going to say, do what you want. You're the man. You're my coach. But I just, as a fan, I really want this kid to fucking start next year. That's just where I'm at, man. I do want to bring up what Too Evil to Hope said in the comments, saying Hawkinson is starting to look like a mistake. I mean, he had a severe knee injury that he came back from, multiple ligament reconstruction, sat out half the year, came back, alligator armed a couple, in my opinion, and At times he looked like the old Hawk, but it wasn't consistent enough. And I think that that's twofold. Number one, he was coming back from the injury, and I do think as the season progressed, he looked better. I believe it was the Jaguars game. He had a pretty good game, caught a lot of balls that game. But I also think that the way that Darnold played, Darnold wasn't necessarily someone who was going to fire it over the middle all the
Yeah, he wasn't
time.
throwing mid-range throws at all.
No. And he just held on to the ball. He looked deep to Addison and Jefferson all the time. I just think that when JJ plays, you go back and watch JJ's tape, the way that he threw that ball in there to his tight end to Loveland at Michigan, he relied on that dude. JJ loves to throw the ball over the middle. I think that Hawkinson is still that dude. I think he's still a great tight end, a top 5 tight end in the NFL. I think he's going to show out next year.
You watched that Rams game and Hawk was open. Hawk was there for dump offs or was there for quick hitters. He was the hot, if you would, we're gonna say who's the hot route. It was him, and he just wasn't throwing it to him. I agree with everything you just said there. Everything.
I agree though that he wasn't as good as what I had hoped he would be coming back into the offense, and I think a little bit was on us for calibrating our expectations coming off injury. And the other part was that we just assumed that Sam Darnold was going to utilize that weapon the same way that Kirk utilized him as a weapon, and he did not.
Well, one of the things he says it was a mistake. Well, he got injured. Up until that point, he was the tight end 1 or 2 in the league when he got hurt. So it wasn't a mistake. He just got injured. It's an unfortunate that maybe this has set him back, and still a possibility comes back and kills it this year. He's still young enough, but I wouldn't put mistake on it because he was tight end 1, 2. We were screaming about him all year up until that injury.
Yeah, I give up a second-round pick for him all day long.
Yeah.
I love Hawk and what he brings to the offense as a end zone target. I mean, just as a chain mover, and even his ability after the catch. And I think that Darnold, he showed signs of like getting comfortable with him on those option routes underneath the chain moving type routes, but he never quite got there to the point where it was a great connection.
And what you said about JJ McCarthy being more suited to him because he does throw mid range. You know, he's going to throw mid range. He's going to throw crossing routes more. I think he's better at dumping. You know, finding that. That sneak out route from the running back or the tight end that, gives up his block, and sure enough, his head's on a swivel, you'll throw it to him. I don't think Sam Darnold's there. I seen him look down wide open fucking guys and not throw it. I think JJ McCarthy is a little more decisive than Sam Darnold was.
I agree with you. For better and for worse.
Even as a young guy.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah, I agree with you. Remember back to the preseason game? I rewatched that not too long ago. He ripped one to I think it was Nick Muse coming over for a first down, like a crossing route. Just ripped like a slant to him. I mean, he's not afraid to fire it over the middle.
Yeah, I really flipped the switch on JJ McCarthy once I saw him in preseason or spring or in camp. I was really worried after
OTAs.
The OTAs, but when it came to camp and the stuff coming out of there, and I really had to reevaluate what I saw in that preseason game because he did make a couple bad mistakes, or a couple plays that were bad, and then I was like, but he bounced back, and that's what I wanted to see from Kirk. That's what I want to see from anybody that was quarterback. He did that in his rookie year, in his first game ever in a Vikings uniform. And that impressed me, and I had to reevaluate the way I graded that game.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, just the growth that he's shown from the OTAs, and they were messing with his footwork and everything. There was that video that came out where he threw the ball and it was wide left, nowhere close to the guy he was throwing it to.
Oh, and even in the combine, they said he can't throw left.
Right. But shit, he threw left to Tristan Jackson for 40 yards.
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
dot
That's when it all turned around, right?
Yeah.
Holy shit, he can throw left.
So I'm excited, dude. I mean, so are most Vikings fans are just excited to move on. And we'll find out Monday. That's when the dominoes fall. That's when we're going to find out if Darnold's coming back. And if he's not, hopefully we're gonna have some new trench toys to play with.
I'm gonna be unfortunately disappointed if Sam Darnold's back, because I want to.
Me too.
That's what I put on the thumbnails. Turn the page.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the page, man. Just rip off the Band-Aid. Let's start now. And I'll go back to saying it. Kwesi's not extended. Guys who are not extended don't want to take risks, and they bird in the hand, and that's Sam Darnold. And he feels like, oh, I could recreate that? Maybe take a step forward. That's the temptation right now. Instead of like, oh, they got all the confidence in me. Okay, let me make the financially sound decision and build this team around JJ McCarthy. And I just think that would come if he had an extension.
Before we move off of Sam Darnold as a topic, because we spent 35 minutes talking about him, do you think that the talking heads saying the Vikings are interested, they really want to get a deal done, is it mostly bullshit like it was last year with Kirk Cousins? Or do you think that they really want to get a deal done with him? I tend to think it's mostly bullshit, and that their price point is probably way, way lower than where realistically he's going to end up.
Now, are they saying, when you see those posts, and I forgot to look, but are they saying that coming from Vikings inside the Vikings camp?
Well, I
don't
think
think
it's
they are.
insinuated because Rappaport is saying now the Vikings want to sign him, right? So, like, who's saying that? I would guess he's getting that from,
because you could say
Vikings.
that from the agent of Sam Darnold saying that the Vikings are talking to us.
Could be. Who knows?
So
What do you
that's
think?
why it's so hard. I don't want to call it bullshit. I want to feel like it's bullshit. I wouldn't put it past Kwesi or Kevin O'Connell. They're very loyal people, and he won 14 games for them. They were loyal to Kirk, of giving him a shot, giving him and risking it and going to free agency, and they did the right thing. Kirk did the right thing for him. You know, everybody did the right thing. We moved on. We lucked out, or I'm gonna call it skill. Kwesi had the skill to go, okay, Sam Darnold is a guy. I never seen so many puke emojis in my life, even for me, when there was talk about how Sam Darnold was a guy, and that was before the free agency started. That say Vikings are kicking the tires on Sam Darnold, puke everywhere.
Right.
But shout out to them for figuring, seeing that in him. And I had said this even when I was down on him. He has all the physical tools. Well, gosh, it's so tempting that I'm 50-50 on it right now. That they might want him back. And it's not going to be expensive compared to he wouldn't even be the top 15 paid quarterback in the league if he got 35, right? He wouldn't be even the top 15.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I you know how I feel. So let's move on. What are the
I feel
tweets?
the same way.
Yeah, we feel the same. What are the tweets that you wanted to talk about tonight?
Oh, so shout out to Ali Siddiqui. I don't know, it was Sadiq. I met him in person, so I don't know. This may highly unlikely, but Will Freeze and Ryan Kelly both signing with the Vikings would be huge. I had made the point a couple weeks ago as, hey, Ryan Kelly coming in to compete against Bradbury and might be, or just move on from Bradbury and have him to where we then draft or look to replace him. Is a short-term fix. There's injury concerns there. And then Will Freeze also injury concerns because he had one. Not necessarily like a career of injuries, but I think he's my right guard all day long. I just think he's awesome. Bring two guys in with continuity like that. You might fix some issues right there. And I don't think they're going to be expensive or as expensive as what we talked about was what's his name? Will, the right guard for Kansas City.
Trey Smith.
It's not Will Smith. Trey Smith. Sorry, Trey Smith. Yeah, I just think this is you could get both these guys for what you would have paid Trey Smith.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a get, dude. Ryan Kelly is a very good idea in my mind because I am all the way out on Dahlman. Number one, I don't think that he's like this massive improvement over Bradbury. I think he's better, but is he massive? And from what I'm hearing, he might push towards Creed Humphrey money, which is like $18 to $20 million for a center. No, I'm all the way out on that.
Yeah. So my when I watched him, I'm like, who's the number one center? Let me go watch him. And I'm like, this is a Bradbury is a poor man's Dahlman.
Mhm.
Basically. I'm
Yeah.
getting the same issues, but he does everything Bradbury does just better.
Mhm.
Bradbury's an average center. He's an average center. He does some things good. He just doesn't stand up against the middle rush from big ass awesome defensive tackles, and that's
Yeah.
the same problem with Dahlman. Same
Dexter
issue.
Lawrence is going to forklift him.
Yeah, it's just different. It's same issues. Okay. I feel like, um, yeah, that's my thoughts on him. I don't want to move on to him from. I'd rather keep a Bradbury for cheap and upgrade a guard.
Yeah. But Ryan Kelly is a big dude.
Yeah.
He's got anchor. He's going to stand up to him. He's going to be
Yeah,
a
this
better
guy's
pass
a
protector.
yeah,
And I
this
think
guy's a
he's
stud at his
31,
position.
right? I think
he's
he's
older.
31. Am I wrong about that? Let's
He's
look up an age real
30
quick for
somewhere in there, early 30s.
Ryan Kelly age. 31. So shit, he can play for 3 more years.
That's why I felt great about him. He's still young. Health issues can happen. Bradbury's had them, right? He's had back issues, right? There was another guy, Matt Anderson, and another guy brought him up was Tershawn Wharton from Kansas City. He kind of looks like a good fit at nose tackle for us, and as a free agent, 6.5 sacks, 26 years old, pressures the QB, and he says he wrecks the run game. Relentless motor, perfect fit for the defense. I don't know about relentless motor, but he's got it. He's good. He's good. He looks like a guy that we could really use. He looks like a man child. He's the strength, leverage. I feel like he's got that, and he has moves. He does have moves. He can get penetration. I see him take 3 steps to the quarterback. Right. Totally in the center. Totally west.
Who is this?
It's Tershawn Wharton, defensive tackle for the Chiefs.
Oh yeah. He popped in the playoffs. We were seeing him. I thought so too.
Yeah, they're showing the Eagles highlights, and he actually looked pretty good.
That'd be a guy like lower, he's going to be kind of your diamond in the rough there in free agency, but I wouldn't mind that at all.
And he's young. I think he was 25 or 26 at 26 years old.
Daniel thinks the Vikings will ignore the center spot. I think that you're right, Daniel. I do think they're going to let Bradbury ride it out one more year because you're really just paying him what 3.5 million or something. And what he gives you for that price is not bad.
Yeah.
He's not like it's fine.
There is a return on investment at that price.
If you're able to cut him and sign Ryan Kelly, then I'm all for that. I don't think they would cut him until the signing was completed, just because you need a center. And I do think that Michael Juergens needs one more year in the weight room, because this preseason in his rookie year, he was not able to play with NFL guys. He was not strong enough, getting forklifted all over the place.
Yeah, and we've had some issues with getting like late guy, 3rd, 5th round dudes at guard and center in the past that we were really high on, and they just did not have NFL strength when they got in there,
and just never worked out. The laundry list of interior offensive linemen that this team has tried and failed on is disgusting.
That's
bad,
so bad.
It doesn't make statistical sense how many have come in and failed. Do you think you hit on 1 or 2 of these guys? Will Fries, I think he's a 6th or 7th round pick from the Colts, who turned into a really good player, and I would really enjoy him as our guard.
This guy moves people. He's a mover.
He's a mover. He broke, if
Finisher.
I'm not mistaken, I believe he broke his fibula or it was
Yeah.
his tibia. I don't remember, but either way, he broke a leg bone.
One of those ibias.
If it's the tibia, they usually put a rod in it. If it's the fibula, they fix it with plate and screws. Either way, he should be back. He should be 100%. He should be back for training camp. I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. I am more so worried about Tevin Jenkins and his back injury because those back injuries tend to persist, and it's more of a chronic pain issue that doesn't allow you to have full, functionality, movement, flexibility, getting in and out of your stance repeatedly. So that worries me more. And then I think James Daniels, the other guard that we thank you, right tibia fracture. So they probably rotted that. So he'll be fine. He'll be good to go. James Daniels tore his Achilles tendon last year, I think in September, I believe. So he's going to be close to coming back probably around training camp, pushing that, trying to play. So his market's going to be down, coming back from an injury, maybe a 1-year prove it deal for him. I'd be fine with it, but I don't, that's risky. That's really risky. You know what I mean? So in a perfect world, I'm kind of looking at Fries as that guy, go get him. And then one other guy, Ryan Kelly, and then roll with Brandel at left guard this year.
Yeah. Yeah, that would do it for me, honestly. I've been a Brandel fan, and I do think Darrisaw makes a big difference. Now, a big one here that I really liked was Daniel House. A few on Twitter, a few of my favorite free agent fits. He said Will Fries. We agree on that. Tershawn Wharton. That's a couple people have said that now. I'm looking at him now. I'll look at him more. Paulson Adebo, 6'2" cornerback.
Nice.
6'1". He's long. He's 195 pounds, but he's long. He does look like he plays man defense. He seems like he reacts the ball, so ball skills. He does. I feel like he's got that. I like the size, and we don't have a lot of that. I felt at corner, or at least length. I mean,
yeah, I think all three of those names make a lot of sense. Shout out to Daniel
Reed.
House.
And of course, throw DJ Reed in there. I really would want him. He's only 5'9", but he plays like a Wolverine.
He's one of my top targets. I would really like DJ Reed.
If we lost everybody, didn't bring anybody back, and we brought a Debo and Reed back, I felt like that would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Then the guy I really liked on this list was safety Jeremy Chin. I got to watch some video on him, and the dude, I said this to you off the air, is I felt like he was everything I wanted Lewis Cine to be, and he honestly played like a young Harrison Smith. This guy hits hard, like he packs a punch. This guy is strong. He's 6'3",
fast.
I love it.
Big.
I love it. This would be a guy I would want, and let's sign him long term. That's how much I like him.
We were talking about this. I believe the Vikings were playing the Panthers in Carolina, and he forced back-to-back fumbles on, it was like back-to-back possessions for the Vikings, and I think it was Dalvin Cook maybe, and he's an unbelievable player. Somebody check on, if you remember that, let me know in the comments, because I believe that happened, and I've always liked him.
There's a play this year where a receiver goes down to the ground, he stands up, and right as he's standing up, he just punches the ball out with his left hand. And they get the turnover. So I like that trade in him. Like if what you said was true, I could see that because I saw it on his little highlight reel from this year. The hitting though, man, and the angles he took, the hits he's done, kept people from getting touchdowns. It's weird. It's not like he had the leverage. He hits so hard that he just decleats people. And they're clean hits. I just think I would rather have him. I don't know how much he's going to cost. I haven't looked into it, but I'd rather have that type of player on our team. A young Harrison Smith is the way I feel.
Look it up right now. Yeah, I like him a lot. Who did he play for last year?
I think he's a Cardinal or a Commander.
Yeah, he was. Yep, he signed a 1-year, $4.1 million contract with the Commanders in March of 2024. He is projected to earn $6 million per season on a 3-year deal, $18.26 million contract. Sign me up for that, dude.
There's got to be something wrong with him. I'll have to go look, but that doesn't. I would take that $6 million.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he was drafted to the Panthers, and I wonder how the Commanders got him so cheap. There's got to be something going on with that.
Yeah, 1 year, $4 million. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Just the size, and again, you look at the guy. He's just built. He's a solid looking football player. He's not slow, and he hits like a truck. He just hits like a fucking truck. And on the videos that I've seen, so
Yeah,
I'll take that all day.
I'm excited about Theo Jackson getting more playing time. He's been really good in training camp, and I think that he can be a surprise. But I do think they need to add to this room. I do expect Bynum to leave. We'll find that out Monday. So what's fun is that next week when we go live on Tuesday, we'll have 2 days of free agency or legal tampering to talk about, right? So we'll have plenty to talk about and to rehash.
Yeah, I'll have to look at this Mora guy. I don't know.
He's good. I think he's set to earn a little bit more than Jeremy Chin.
There's some guys that just seem to pop, and I'm like, like you said, Daniel, his run grade. Yeah, a lot of his video is like him just taking down guys. He's sure tackler.
Oh, wow. Trayvon Moehrig is projected to earn $15 million per year in free agency.
Sign me up for Chin.
Yeah, setting him up to be one of the top paid safeties. Wow.
All right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders end up keeping him because they have so much cap space. They'll probably figure something out with him.
And so could the Commanders. So yeah. Commanders have money. So
Daniel says it's amazing how much money safeties get now, but really look at all the positions now, right? Like everyone's getting money. Guards are getting
top
paid.
Guys are all getting paid really well.
That's a good point. Is that there's some positions where like the cream of the crop is getting paid really, really well. And then the rest of the league isn't getting paid nearly like that. The cornerback's a position like that where your top guys are getting 20 plus million. And then there's a couple dudes around 15, 16, 17. And then a bunch of dudes are like at 10.
So Harrison Smith apparently, no matter what, wants to play another year.
Hell yeah.
So we have to sign him then.
And we have to win the Super Bowl because we have to win one with him.
So yeah, I'm like, yeah, we got to sign him. I don't get, and he brings more to the table than just good defense. So,
oh yeah. Well,
there's always that saying is like, rather 1 year early than 1 year late. I don't care with Harrison Smith. Let him fall off a cliff right in front of us. I don't care. When he wants to go, he can go.
Yeah, dude. My favorite player. It's gonna be sad when he hangs it up because he's just embodied everything that you want a Vikings player to embody. Smart, tough, physical football player, loves the game, plays reckless abandon. Great dude.
Outside of like Culpepper and Moss, I was always more of a favorite player was my defensive guys. Because my favorite player of all time was Scott Studwell.
Okay.
For you, when were you born?
91.
91. So you probably caught you were born in like the last year he played in the league. I forget. It was pretty late. I think he made it into the 90s, like 91 probably. I forget. But yeah, and then he became our college or our director of college scouting, and then he quit like 2 years ago or something like that. I've always leaned towards defensive players, except for Culpepper and Moss. Those were the two guys that I was just like in love with. for a while there. And then Thielen. I think Thielen was one of my favorite players. Adrian Peterson probably was right there, but on the defense, I was always leaning towards defensive guys, and Harrison Smith kind of embodies everything I liked about a defensive player. So.
I agree. Let's talk
And they
about.
changed the game on him, man. They changed the game on him.
He adapted, though. He did,
and he was still good.
Dude, Harrison used to be that headhunter. You know what I mean?
He was the guy getting kicked out of games. Dude got kicked out of fucking games.
Yeah, he would smack dudes, and he changed his game. And he had to. Let's. Daniel brought up a couple topics here before we go.
Yeah, running back.
He says that I don't think the Vikings signed a running back outside of Aaron Jones. And we've talked about this a little bit. We both agree. We liked Cam Akers. We also like Aaron Jones. I have concerns that Jones had so many carries last year. I do worry about him getting injured this next year. But then Daniel brought that next point up of drafting a running back seems like it's kind of a lock. And so you're going to take a lot of the workload off of Aaron Jones next year. We've talked about this. We both agree. We'd like to see either Cam Akers or Aaron Jones or both back. We both like them. Ty Chandler can, go somewhere else. He's welcome to leave. And we both want the Vikings to draft a running back. So we're kind of on the same page there. I'm totally happy if Aaron Jones comes back, but I won't cry if he goes.
Yeah, I've been putting together a spreadsheet of all the running backs, like all the quarterbacks, putting a hot link to their highlight reel, hot link to NFL Combine page for the draft, NFL Draft Combine page, and the Draft Buzz page, because they even like spider charts and shit that have a little more than that and a lot deeper analysis. So like if you go look at Cam Ward, you can click his highlights, you can go look at his NFL and see all his latest his combine stats, then go to Draft Buzz and see more detail. And I'll email that to you so you can if you ever want to look up a player really quick, you just click on it and it's there for you. So I did the running backs and just looking at and some of the athletic scores coming out of camp, like for Omarion Hampton and Caleb Johnson and then Travion Henderson ran a 4.3 and just a lot of good running backs. And what do you feel about if we do trade down, and there's already talk about it, that we get another third round pick? Is it worth it to where we'll now have two picks in the third round, and one of them could be a running back and could be a pretty good running back?
I'd love that. I think that's a great scenario. And after free agency, we'll have to do our mock draft 2.0, and that'll probably be our strategy.
I got copyrighted for that, by the way.
What?
No, I have to put it like take it off of the pay. I got copyrighted. I think from I don't know, something popped up, probably a video while we were playing that. So I got to be more careful next time.
Okay, but anyways, I love that strategy. I really believe the Vikings will and almost need to trade down from 24 because they need more picks. And where's the value at adding the selections? If you pick at 24 and you trade down from the third round, you're not really going to be accumulating much there, right? You're going to move down from maybe a 3 to a 4, pick up a couple 7s or something like that, maybe a 6. Like at that point, you might as well just sign extra guys in undrafted free agency. You know what I mean? Because once you get past the 5th round, all those dudes, there's not much difference between those guys and undrafted free agents. Well, maybe I should like 6th and 7th rounds. I'd say there's not much difference. 5th rounds, you can still find some, trench players, maybe some couple receivers here or there, but it is pretty rare. So I do think the Vikings are going to trade down from 24. The question is, do they stay in the first round or do they trade out completely? And we'll see, man.
Or how many times do they trade down?
I think that the cool thing is that a lot of the Vikings fans understand the reality and we'll be totally okay with it. You know what I mean? We'll celebrate it.
Freak out.
Yeah.
Crazies.
I know for a fact that like Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon are going to be there, and it's going to be like, no, they're here. Just take them. That's your stud, right? Like we're going to freak out.
If there is a guy, and do I think a running back is a must-have at that spot, no. But if there's a defensive guy that I just like gotta have, it'd be hard to pass up. But if there's like 3 or 4 that I'm like cool with,
It makes it easier.
Well, it makes it easier.
I think it was Lance Zierlein who had a mock draft. The Vikings traded down to the Ravens with at 29, and they picked the corner who ran the fastest 40. I think Hairston from Kentucky. I think that's his name. From what I've seen in the consensus boards, he's more of a 3rd round type of guy, or 2nd or 3rd round. So I didn't love that. It seemed like a reach. And I don't think he's a great man corner anyways. So just don't do something like that.
Yeah.
And we'll be okay.
Yeah, whoever that's what I would like if we could get some corners in this free agency and not have to worry about drafting one. And then draft the badass defensive tackle.
Rookie corners tend to not be great anyways. You know what I mean? They're going to take some development. Look at the Eagles, their rookie corners were pretty damn great because they had the trenches to rush the quarterback and make their job so much easier. Let's take a page out of their book. We're all hungry for trenches. We've talked about it. We're ready for it. It's next Monday. We'll get our answers.
Crazy. Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. I'm excited, man. So let's wrap up the show there and look forward to legal tampering next Monday. And we'll be here to talk about it next Tuesday with all of you guys. Looking forward to it. This is another episode of House Calls brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. You got me, Skull Doc, and Dave. We are checking out Skull Vikes.
Skull Vikes.